Well, g'day there everybody. Thanks a lot for joining me on this Monday afternoon market recap. As I sit down and bring you this recording, we still have about 30 minutes left in the day's worth of trade. However, it is a very important market update. So I want you to settle in, perhaps make yourself a tea or coffee, because there is a little bit to recap. We have seen some very nice signals set up on a bunch of individual stocks. Also, the US dollar I'll be speaking about and what it means for gold and silver moving forward. But before we get there, let me just recap what's happening in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We entered today's session with a pretty strong beginning session of trade, or at least the first half of trade. In fact, we got very close to our breakout trigger. Pay attention to the trigger on my screen. It's 23,639.5. You can see the intra-session high. If I just highlight the actual number that I want you to pay attention to, you can see this number is sitting in or priced in at 23,638.92. So we came very, very, very close to the DIA trigger. We didn't hit there. Of course, that's based on contingency, the contingency being the price action of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And as such, with 30 minutes left in today's day's worth of trade, we have that of a shooting star candlestick. So at this particular point, we'll have to wait for the final volume print. This is looking like that of a shooting star type of reversal candlestick. However, it is also setting up in that sort of sideways stair-step continuation. So this is at worst case scenario that of an early reversal signal, but at the same time we don't have any actual confirmation whatsoever of the market wanting to even reverse. In fact, the Nasdaq today has continued in its impressive run, which I'll recap very, very soon. That has been helped by, of course, the price movement that we saw in Amazon and also Google. I'll get there in due course, but I just wanted to add to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, although we are holding up a positive 31 points, we still have this gap, and this gap is set up from Monday the 20th through to Tuesday the 21st. We still have an open window. This is dating back a week ago, and even if we do see a little bit of a price pullback, expect this area, the high of this candlestick, coming in at 23,456 to hold as gap support. So again, just to recap, this looks like a stair-step continuation. However, today's candlestick, is showing signs of a shooting star reversal. I'll give you more information on this as we continue throughout the week's worth of trade. Also, this conversation, it extends to that of the S&P 500. You can see again the breakout trigger on the SPYs, 2,606.9. Pay attention to this figure up in the top left-hand corner of my screen. You can see it comes in at 2,606.41. So again, very, very close to triggering not only on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but also on the S&P 500. This is not a shooting star candlestick as at the current juncture. This is showing signals of a spinning top type of candlestick. It isn't a doji. We'll see what the final print is, and also we'll have to pay attention to volume. But again, this is just a short-term candlestick reflecting short-term indecision on the daily time frame. It isn't the most, I guess, momentous of individual candlesticks, nor is the current construction on that of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But we are seeing, again, not a confirmed breakout take place on these two particular markets at the current time. Now, if I extend this conversation into the Nasdaq, you can see this market, it is pushing up. It is continuing quite nicely on its way. I mean, we're only up just shy of 6 points. And again, this is largely helped by some of the price movements in our top 12 individual trade list. Most importantly, or most noticeably, is Amazon. Amazon today has hit our target at $1,200 per share. I spoke about this over the weekend. It's fantastic to hit it this early in the week. You should be out of Amazon now. If you entered in at 1,125, congratulations. If you entered in at 1,140, congratulations. Also, if you entered in at our third entry, 1,145, congratulations to you as well. I mean, this trade has absolutely gone parabolic over the past 4 trading sessions. It's great that we've hit our target. You should be looking to, of course, exit out of those positions if you haven't already done so. This stock needs a little bit of time to reset. If I bring up those Bollinger Bands, you can see for yourself that we are pushing outside of that top Bollinger Band. So expect Amazon to more or less move sideways as we allow both those exponential moving averages to catch up to price, and also for price action to come back in or within the Bollinger Band, or that top Bollinger Band as well. Outside of that, we've got Apple, a little bit of a pullback today. Again, not a reversal signal. I've had a few emails already, people talking about that of an evening star reversal. At this particular point, it's a little too premature to say such a thing. This just looks like a slowdown, and again, it's working in conjunction with the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. Obviously, this is tied through to the NASDAQ, but in terms of its net price movement, it really is just reflecting sort of, that sort of small little pop that we're seeing in the NASDAQ. Not as much follow through, in essence, going into Apple at this particular time. Now, Boeing Airlines is still holding below our breakout trigger. Nothing to really report there, except, of course, that stair-step continuation continues to build. We've got Caterpillar also moving sideways. The Bollinger Bands continue to constrict price. This is a trade which is brewing. We've got COP rolling over, which is interesting. Pay attention to this pivot just above 51.23. I'm still expecting price action to take out this price level and to take us all the way back up to 54.41, and also higher levels that I spoke about over the weekend and in previous weeks. We've got CVX really not doing all that much. Now, as I continue with this, you can see Google, we're trying to break out above that 1,066 area, and we spoke about this over the weekend. Generally, Amazon, Apple, Google, they do mimic one another. They're very closely correlated. It's not a perfect correlation, of course. Nothing is in financial markets. But if you see Amazon breaking out, it should be only a matter of time until Google essentially confirms the previous movement in Amazon. And that's exactly what we're seeing in Google at the moment. We're up another $12 during today's trading session. We're breaking above these swing highs. If I bring up, of course, the ADX and also the CCI, you can see the CCI is firming up above that 150 level, and also the ADX is turning up as well. So I'm excited about this Google trade. We've had to sort of wait on this trade for the exponential moving averages once again to start interacting with the short-term price action. That has happened. We're starting to see the bounce off from this, and it was a really nice setup that, again, I spoke about over the weekend. So I'm quite pleased to see, of course, that constructive movement taking place in Google. Now, Goldman Sachs is still continuing to move sideways. We've got IBM, which has just produced its third consecutive spinning top. It isn't really getting going. However, we see these markets continue to move to the upside. We should see IBM move back up to those upper resistance areas. We've got Netflix moving sideways. Tesla, of course, is still holding that red box. And if I extend this conversation as I look down at my keyboard into Facebook, you can see also very similar to that of Google, we're starting to break out as well, 182.95. So a lot of tech companies are starting their breakouts, which are very, very exciting. We've got Amazon, which has just concluded its move. Personally, I'm out of this at 1,200, and I'm quite happy about that. Before I sort of conclude this video, it's very important that I speak about the US dollar index. Again, this is something that I spoke about over the weekend, and what I suggested was that we should potentially see that of a reversal signal take place right around this pivot here, because essentially what we need to remain at this particular time is relatively bullish or optimistic on the US dollar, as long as we remain above this pivot over here dating back to mid-October. Now, as everyone is turning very, very bearish on the US dollar, this is exactly where the pivot point should take place, or where that turning point should take place. And what do we have today as at Monday's session? It's that of a hammer at support. So this is the first particular candlestick which is giving us that of a signal of reversal. So pay attention to this. It's not confirmed at the moment, but going back into what we spoke about over the weekend, it doesn't really come as a surprise to see this type of candlestick set up at this current level. Also, what it's doing is it's putting in that lower structure, that support area with that lower wick. So it's indicating buyers are showing up at this level. They're defending this level. And if this leads to a long white Morobozu, a long day bullish Morobozu candlestick, well, then that is the signal that this chart pattern, which has been setting up for a number of months, is essentially confirming. All right. So the US dollar is something which is looking quite nice at this particular time. And also, if I extend the conversation, this may be potentially the turning point for gold and silver. It's obviously too premature at this particular point. We're only just seeing, again, that first candlestick show up on the US dollar. But gold and silver both collectively jumped. They gapped to the upside. What happened? There wasn't any follow through. And again, much like the US dollar getting belted early in the session, we saw a reversal. That is essentially what has happened for gold, but it's obviously in the opposite direction. So we'll see what happens. This might be that third consecutive lower high. We aren't really getting the breakout above that October high. And again, if I show you some of these oscillators, we've got the MACD, which is only just trying to firm up into positive territory. You can see the Stokes is trying again to hold above the neutral 50 line, but it's looking pretty tentative at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with both gold and silver. I can also bring up that silver chart for you as well and just show you this. We gapped to the upside, we couldn't hold, we sold back off, and we actually closed up. At the moment, I know there's still 30 minutes left of trade, but we're pretty much unchanged since Friday last week. So It's looking as though, again, volatility, although it is suppressed at the moment, it's looking for a breakout. This also extends into gold, and the basis for this is that of the US dollar. Okay, we've got that first reversal signal taking place, much like this candlestick over here. Be interesting to see what happens in terms of the US dollar. You've got the opportunity now to bring down this trade trigger ever so slightly. You could push it, bring it down to above the high of Friday last week. That's something that I'm eyeing off. I'll have to recap the closing print, so to speak, as at the end of trade, although it trades around the clock. I just want to see what that final print is and then adjust that trade accordingly. But again, you've got the trade set up. I've been speaking about this for a number of weeks, if not a couple of months now, and it's coming to fruition as at the close today. So again, I'll keep you updated with what the markets do. As at the current juncture, this is looking very similar to that of a shooting star. However, we don't have any confirmation of a reversal. The first confirmation that we would receive if it was to occur would be the breaking of this level here. That would be the failure of the gap support at this higher level here, in green. So on that note, everyone, if you have any questions, please email me. Outside of that, enjoy your Monday evening, and I'll be back with you tomorrow for some more market updates. All the best. And again, congratulations on that Amazon trade. Fantastic work. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.